is the folk culture of Buenos Aires, a living expression of the city's soul. Folk culture, or folklore, is defined by the Royal Spanish Academy as a shared set of traditions, beliefs, crafts, songs, and stories passed from generation to generation. So, if we really want to understand tango not just as music or dance, but as the living heritage it is, we have to explore the deep connection between its traditions, its poetry, its music, its songs, and its movements with its birthplace and the culture where it thrived. That's what this podcast is all about. I am María Olivera, a tango dance instructor with over 20 years of experience both in Buenos Aires and around the world. I am also a political scientist, a historian of the city of Buenos Aires, and a proud member of UNESCO's International Dance Council, as well as a jury member for international tango dance competitions. I direct Escuela del Abrazo in Buenos Aires, where we train dancers of all levels from many countries with a holistic approach that embraces tango not just as a dance, but as a culture. Welcome back to Tango Music and Poetry Studies. I'm María Olivera, and in today's episode we continue our journey through the evolution of tango. This time, entering one of its most transformative moments, La Guardia Nueva. Between the late 1880s and the 1920s, tango had already developed its own distinct identity. The bandoneon had arrived to stay. Gardel's golden voice was conquering the world. Tango poetry was blossoming. And the dance itself had crossed the Atlantic, seducing the high society of Paris. By then, tango was not just a pastime of the barrios. It was a cultural force. And as always happens with living art, popularity called for transformation. The world was changing, and tango was ready to change with it. The Guardia Vieja had given tango its raw character, its mischief, its pulse. But by the 1910s and 20s, a new wave of creativity was emerging. Historians don't always agree on the exact starting point. Some say 1917, when Gardel recorded Mi Noche Triste. Others point to 1925, when Julio De Caro formed his first orchestra. What we do know is that between 1917 and the mid-1950s, tango would live a golden period of transformation and innovation. La Guardia Nueva. The New Guard. Now, the transformation rested on three big changes. First, the unstoppable success of Tango Canción, tango as a song, not just music for dancing. Second, the incorporation of the estribillistas, chorus singers who, even if they didn't have the brilliance of Gardel, brought a new voice into the orchestra. And third, a profound shift in the way musicians played tango. Less emphasis on the pure rhythm, more focus on the melodies and the harmonies. Let's meet three figures who lit the path of the Guardia Nueva: Francisco Canaro, Enrique Santos Discépolo, and Julio De Caro. Francisco Canaro, the people's maestro. Born in Uruguay in 1888, Francisco Canaro grew up in Buenos Aires in poverty. He loved music but could not afford a violin. So he built his own, with an oil can and a wooden stick. That was the beginning of a career that would make him one of the most prolific and wealthiest tango musicians of all time. By 1916, he had his first orquesta típica, and from then on, Canaro was everywhere. He traveled extensively not only to Paris or New York, but across Argentina's countryside, bringing tango to every corner. People loved him. He wasn't a virtuoso, and his orchestra didn't have the star power of Gardel. But Canaro had something different. He was tireless, popular, and deeply connected to his audiences. Canaro was also a pioneer. He was the first to add a double bass to the tango orchestras, grounding the rhythm with a deep, earthy sound. That double bass was played by Leopoldo Thompson, and his way of playing gave Canaro's orchestra a very special flavor. Thompson used to tap the strings with the palm of his hands, creating a percussive effect almost like a drum. That rhythm became known as canjenge, a cadence that was earthy, raw, irresistible. Decades later, more than 50 years on, dancers trying to recreate tango's history on stage invented the so-called canjenge style of dance, claiming it portrayed the early days. In truth, there is no proof that such a dance form ever existed back then, but it is undeniable that the sound of Thompson's bass inspired this association. Thompson later found a home in Julio De Caro's orchestras too, carrying that unmistakable canchenge cadence into the very heart of the Guardia Nueva. His presence forms a living bridge between Canaro's popular sound and De Caro's sophisticated architecture. Canaro also experimented with wind instruments, especially clarinets, leaving a recognizable signature in his recordings. If you ever hear a tango or a milonga where the clarinets sneak in with playful melodies, chances are it is Canaro. And perhaps most importantly, Canaro was the first to bring the estribillista. This innovation, adding a chorus singer to perform just the refrain, changed tango forever. It opened the door to tango song as a mass phenomenon. Listen to how the music has changed. More sophisticated, more polished, and with the singer adding drama and tenderness. Canaro also fought for musicians' rights. In 1936, he founded SADAIC, the Argentine Society of Authors and Composers, ensuring that artists could earn royalties for their work. To this day, every musician in Argentina benefits from what he built. So popular and wealthy was Canaro that a saying became common in Buenos Aires. Tiene más plata que Canaro. He is richer than Canaro, they meant. But wealth aside, this contribution was clear. Canaro gave tango its mass appeal. He bridged the transition from the playful Guardia Vieja into the sophisticated sound of the Guardia Nueva. Enrique Santos Discépolo, the philosopher of tango. Now we move from the orchestra leader to the poet. Enrique Santos Discépolo, affectionately known as Discepolin. He was born in Argentina in 1901. His brother was a playwright, and young Enrique grew up immersed in theater and philosophy. Influenced by Pirandello, by Schopenhauer's pessimism, even by Nietzsche's nihilism, Discepolo brought something new to tango: irony, sarcasm, and a sharp critique of society. His tangos are not just songs, they are philosophical statements, full of dark humor and biting truth. Let's listen to the words of some of his most famous tangos in full translation and with some context. Yira Yira, from 1930. Written in the midst of the global depression, this tango is an anthem of disillusionment. It shows a world that is indifferent to suffering, where hope collapses. The very word Shira in lunfardo means to wander without destination, to drift, to be lost. Repeated like a refrain, it gives the song its hypnotic sense of aimlessness, of turning in circles while the world refuses to care. When luck, which is fickle, leaves you standing alone, when you're adrift without direction, desperate, when you don't even have faith, nor yesterday's sherba drying in the sun, when your shoes are worn through searching for the penny that lets you eat, then you'll feel the indifference of a world that is deaf and mute. You'll see that everything is a lie. You'll see that nothing is love, that the world doesn't care at all, Yira Yira. Even if life breaks you, even if pain bites you, never expect help, nor a hand, nor a favor. When all the doorbells you've rung have run out of batteries, searching for a brotherly chest to die in an embrace, when they leave you standing after all your effort, just like they left me, when you realize that beside you others are already trying on the clothes you're about to leave behind, then you'll remember this fool who one day, tired, began to bark. Even if life breaks you, even if pain bites you, never expect help, nor a hand, nor a favor. Cambalache, from 1935. In Cambalache, Discepolo paints the 20th century as a pawnshop of corruption and absurdity. Written in the politically turbulent mid-30s, it became one of the most quoted tangos of all time. The world has always been a mess, I know it well. In the year 506 and in the year 2000 as well. There have always been thieves, tricksters, and swindled fools, happy and bitter men, true treasures and cheap imitations. But the 20th century is a display of insolent wickedness. Nobody can deny it. We live mired in the froth, in the same mud, all mixed together. Today, it makes no difference to be honest or a traitor, ignorant, wise, thief, generous or a swindler. It's all the same. Nothing is better. A donkey is the same as a great professor. There are no grades, no ranking. Immorality has leveled us all. If one lives a false life and another steals for ambition, it's the same if he's a priest, a mattress seller, a king of cards, a crook, or a stowaway. What a lack of respect. What an insult to reason. Anyone is a gentleman. Anyone is a thief. Mixed in together, Stravinsky, Don Bosco, La Mignon, Don Chicho and Napoleon, Carnera and San Martin. Just like the pawn shop's disrespectful windows displays, life has been mixed together. And wounded by a broken saber, you see the Bible weeping beside a water heater. 20th century, pawn shop, problematic and feverish. The one who doesn't cry doesn't suckle, and the one who doesn't steal is a fool. Come on, go on. We'll all meet each other in hell. Don't think anymore, just sit aside. Nobody cares if you were born honest. The one who works day and night like an ox is the same as the one who lives of others. The same as the one who kills, or who heals, or who lives outside the law. Tormenta, from 1939. Written just before World War II, Tormenta is a desperate prayer to God. It asks why the righteous suffer while traitors and thieves prosper. Howling amidst lightning, lost in the storm of my endless night, O Lord, I call your name. I don't want your ball to blind me in the horror, because I need light to go on. What I learned from your hand does not help me to live. I feel my faith trembling, that evil people live better lives than mine. If life is hell, and the honest live in tears, what good is it to fight in your name, clean, pure, for what? If today's infamy shows the way, and love kills in your name, O Lord, everything you kissed, to follow you is to give ground, to love you is to succumb to evil. I don't want to abandon you, Lord, but show me just once that a traitor does not live unpunished, and I'll kiss you. Show me a flower that has blossomed from the effort of following you, O Lord, so I don't have to hate this world that despises me because I refuse to steal. And then, on my knees, bloodied on the cobblestones, I will die with you, happy, Lord. Uno, from 1943. In Uno, Discepolo speaks of betrayal and broken illusions. It is the tango of the wounded lover who no longer knows how to give his heart. One search is full of hope for the road that dreams promised. One knows the struggle is cruel and long, but still fights and bleeds for the stubborn faith he holds. One crawls among thorns, suffering in his desire to love, destroying himself until he understands he's been left without a heart. Price paid in vain for a kiss that never came, for a love that deceived him, empty from loving and crying so much betrayal. If only I had the heart I gave away. If I could, as before, love without suspicion. It's possible that your eyes that cry out their love to me, I would close them with my kisses, without thinking they might be like those other wicked eyes that ruined my life. If only I had the heart, the same one I lost. If I could forget the one who shattered it yesterday and love you, I'd embrace your illusion to weep for your love. But God brought you to my path when it's already too late, and I won't know how to love you. Let me cry, like one who suffers in life the torture of crying his own death. Pure as you are, you could have saved my hope with your love. But one is so alone in his pain, so blind in his suffering. And a cruel cold, worse than hate, a tomb for my love, cursed forever, has stolen all my illusions. El Choclo, written in 1947. We mentioned El Choclo in episode 2, when we spoke of Ángel Vicholdo, who composed it at the beginning of the century. Decades later, in 1947, Discépolo gave this famous melody a new lyric to be sung in a Mexican movie called Gran Casino, directed by famous Luis Buñuel. For me, this is one of the most beautiful poetic descriptions of tango culture. It gives me goosebumps every time I read it. With this tango, mocking and bold, the ambition of my slam tied two wings. With this tango, tango was born, and like a cry it rose from the sordid mud searching for the sky. A strange spell of a love-turned cadence that opened paths lit only by hope. A mixture of rage, pain, faith, absence, crying in the innocence of a playful rhythm. From the miracle of your ominous notes, the paicas and grelas were born. Moon over paddles, canchengue in their hips, and a fierce desire in the way of loving. Evoking you, beloved tango, I feel the tiles of a dance hall tremble. I hear the grumble of my past. Now that I no longer have my mother, I feel her tiptoeing back to kiss me when your song rises from the bandoneon. Carancanfunfa crossed the sea with your flag, and in a Pernod he mixed Paris and Puente Alsina. Sad companion of prisoners and prostitutes, even friend of the wealthy man and the girl next door. Because of you, crook and cop, swindler and misery, all found their voice born with your destiny. Mass of skirts, kerosene, slash and knife that burned in the tenements and burned in my heart. And just before we move on, let's pause on three colorful words that appear here. Paica and grela are lunfardo words. They both mean young woman. Discépolo uses them as examples of how lunfardo, the slang of Buenos Aires, became popular through tango itself. The lunfardo left the margins of society and entered poetry, becoming part of a cultural identity. And then there is carancanfunfa. This is an onomatopoeic word, a playful sound that one of the earliest tango dancers, El Vasco Aín, used to mark the rhythm with his voice when demonstrating steps without music. Aín was also one of the first dancers who traveled abroad and showed tango in Europe. So when Discépolo writes Carancanfunfa crossed the sea with your flag, he is referring to that journey. Tango dance traveling overseas, carried in the body and the voice of those early performers. Today, Carancanfunfa is a synonym of tango dance itself. Discépolo's lyrics were not lyrics to dance in the milonga. These were lyrics to think, to argue, to suffer. Discépolo gave tango its voice of conscience. His tangos belong to what we now call the fundamental tangos, works that reveal the human condition through tango poetry. Julio De Caro, the architect of the new sound. Finally, Julio De Caro. Born in Buenos Aires in 1899 to a cultured family, De Caro was a trained violinist who brought sophistication to tango like nobody else. In 1923, he formed an orchestra that included Pedro Mafia and Pedro Laurens on bandoneon, Leopoldo Thompson on bass, and himself on the violin, which later became the famous straw violin, his personal signature. With Thompson anchoring the rhythm, De Caro's new sound carried within it the earthy heartbeat of Canaro's canyengue, yet transforming it into something refined and modern. De Caro shifted tango away from the straightforward rhythm of La Guardia Vieja and into a music of rich harmonies, melodies, and variations. He elevated tango to a new artistic level, emphasizing solos and interplay between instruments. His ideas laid the foundation for everything that came after, from D'Arienzo's vibrant rhythm to Di Sarli's elegance, from Troilo's depth to Piazzolla's revolution. All of it carries De Caro's DNA. De Caro was not just part of the Guardia Nueva, he was its architect. So there we have it. The Guardia Nueva was more than just a musical shift. It was the moment when tango became truly massive, a culture of poets, singers, and orchestras filling theaters, dance halls, and the hearts of millions. Francisco Canaro gave tango its mass appeal. Discépolo gave it its conscience, and Julio De Caro gave it its musical architecture. Together, they transformed tango into the art form we still celebrate today. What's next in tango music and poetry studies? In our next episode, we'll follow this transformation into its next stage, the evolution of the great dance orchestras. From D'Arienzo's explosion of rhythm to the lyrical power of Di Sarli and Troilo. Until then, keep listening, keep dancing, and keep feeling. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me in this adventure. I'm María Olivera, and this has been Tango Music and Poetry Studies, Episode 3, The New Guard. If you'd like to keep exploring tango with me, follow my work on Instagram at Escuela del Abrazo, on Facebook at Tango María Olivera, or visit escueladelabrazo.com, where you will also find my blog Acuarelas Tangueras, a space for reflections, stories, and deeper dives into tango culture. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. It helps others find the podcast, and it helps me creating more of these for you. And if you ever feel like experiencing tango in its birthplace, check out the group immersion trips I host here in Buenos Aires. There is a chance to go beyond the dance floor to live and feel tango as it is lived here. You'll find more information about those trips on my website as well.